Hello and welcome, everybody. We have George Firican joining today's Sundays with Steve show. Welcome, George.
Hey, thank you, Steve. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here. And again, congrats on your show and on your journey on LinkedIn. Love everything that you're building so far.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you don't mind introducing yourself, I know you're kind of big deal on LinkedIn. You have a big reputation of the guy who knows things in terms of AI, in terms of technology and everywhere. Would you, if you don't mind, to introduce yourself just to tell people what you do, what you focus?
I don't know about big, but I am passionate about the importance of data, and I've kind of built a whole platform around it. So I'm the founder of Lights on Data, putting the lights on data from different perspectives, and I've been working as a data professional for close to 2 decades now. Work with amazing teams that get some good external recognitions from different places, different awards. I do work as a data governance and BI director at the University of British Columbia, which is the second biggest university here in Canada. But through my platform, Lights on Data, I teach. Again, data governance, management, data quality, AI governance, all these best practices, and not just through my Lights on Data courses, but through O'Reilly as well, through Pearson, through I have a course coming up with LinkedIn that I'm very excited about. So feel free to
All
check
right.
that out
For sure.
in a couple months, August, September or so. And
Nice.
I'm a regular speaker too, so I love to travel around and spread the good word on data.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, speaking on AI, right? Everybody's talking about AI in all industries. Like my last speaker was from law firm. I'm not talking about finance or data governance or strictly that. AI is
Yeah.
everywhere. Uh,
Yes.
so why is when people talk about AI, why they should also be talking about the data governance, in your
Uh,
opinion?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And honestly, I think that's a question I wish more people asked before they started their AI project instead of after, which is what I see in practice. It's sort of like an afterthought that, oh, okay, well, maybe we should do data governance. So let me put it to you this way. Data governance is the discipline that makes sure your data is accurate, it's well defined, it's properly accessed, it's documented, it's compliant. So it's kind of what makes your data trustworthy, if you will, to then be actually to build decisions on. So data governance really describes who needs to do what, to what data, under what conditions, and what processes, procedures, tools, and overall best practices to use. That's what data governance does.
That
So
is
I
a,
think it's important, and it matters more now, not less, right? Because AI doesn't just use our data, it kind of amplifies that. I know it's maybe overly said, but I think it's very true, and we need to keep on addressing that. Even if like it's a small consistency, small issue, AI just amplifies all the bias, all the risks, all the gaps that you have. So you need to have that data foundation in order. And for that data foundation to exist and to be in the right place, you need to govern your data.
that's a very, very in-depth definition of it. Very interesting. Uh, and in continuation with the AI topic, right? So why do so many AI projects fail? Like I know a lot of companies that start with a project and there's a lot of failures. I even heard that some stories
Mm,
that, companies would even lay off people and they was like, oh no, we still need people back because it fails.
yeah,
What
yeah,
would what
yeah.
would be the main reasons in your opinion for that?
Um, I can maybe bring it down to three, and I can give some examples as well for each one. But um, one, I find there's no clear purpose. Second,
Mm.
the ungoverned data, of course, as I was mentioning. And third, also no AI governance either. So let me delve a little bit further into each one.
Mm-hmm.
The first on the no clear purpose. I find that so many organizations nowadays, they're kind of chasing AI or investing in AI because it's buzzword. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the executive board are like, "Oh, are we doing anything on AI?" And that's why they're starting something with AI and investing a lot of money into it, but not because they've actually defined the problem that they're solving. There's this is like really cool example. I don't want to name the name of this vendor, but I'm sure a quick Google search would find it. If you maybe Google like oncology, $62 million, you're going to
Oh,
find what I'm talking about. Why $62 million? Because that's how much this cancer center spent before he canceled the project overall.
oh wow.
And they figured out that it was just a mismatch between the tool, which was actually a really good tool, and the problem that they're trying to solve. So, you can have a brilliant piece of technology and still fail if you've never really nailed down the why. You need to get to the why first. So I think that's the first issue. And so many organizations are failing because they're not clearly addressing the why. They just do AI because, hey, it's everybody else is doing it. We don't
Exactly.
want to fail behind, right? The second that I mentioned is that ungoverned data, of course. So no lineage, no ownership, no standards, no common definitions. So the AI model that you apply on top of this mess,
Hmm.
it's maybe a bigger mess. Actually, the city of New York kind of found this the hard way. Maybe about 3 years ago, they launched this chatbot to help small businesses and their owners kind of navigate regulations and all that stuff. And the chatbot was sometimes even giving legal advice, or I should say illegal advice,
Oh
because it
wow.
was telling business owners that they didn't have to accept housing vouchers, that they could refuse cash payments. There's so many other examples. Of course, all of these being false. The purpose was good, but that data behind it wasn't necessarily governed very well. So it was giving bad advice.
Hmm.
And from what I understood, it still does. What the city did instead. Do you know how they solved the problem, by the way, Steve?
No, I didn't even hear about it. And I live in New York City for 30 years.
Yeah, if you go
I mean,
on the New York City website there on the mayor's office, they have this chatbot that you can interact with as a business owner, as a small business owner, to kind of seek advice and recommendations, right, on
mhm.
different regulations and processes. And anyways, they're actively working on fixing the problem, but instead they didn't pull it out. They didn't shut down the chatbot. Instead, they put a disclaimer at the bottom, and it says, "Hey, it might not give you the correct answers." So
That's the
feel,
fix.
you know, yeah, yeah, that's the fix. Yeah, that's the fix.
Wow.
So yeah, so you need to govern the data behind it as well. And that third one is again the AI governance, because data governance manages the input of the AI model. The AI governance kind of manages, let's say, the output. So we want to make sure that there's no garbage in and no garbage out as well.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so you need to have AI governance as well, because nobody's really watching the system once it's live often enough.
Hmm.
And there's this really good story from Air Canada that came out a while ago. They were one of the let's say earliest major companies that implemented a chatbot.
Hmm.
And there's a story, I think it was around 2023 as well, that the chatbot told the customer that they could get a bereavement fare after they've already traveled. So, long story short, this guy's, I think he lost his grandma, and he went online to see, okay, well, I need to travel right away to go to attend a funeral. How could I get that discounted fare because of this loss in my family? And the chatbot said, yeah, just book it, and up to 30 days after your travel is done, just contact us. We'll give you the refund or something. And so he did. He booked based on that advice. And when he went and applied for the refund, the person on the other line, a human, told him, yeah, we can't, because you need to apply for it before the travel happens.
Oh man.
So luckily, the guy took screenshots of all the answers that he got from the chatbot, and he went to court. And Air Canada was trying to argue that, oh, the chatbot is this separate legal entity, and they're not responsible for a separate legal entity. And the judge didn't buy it. It said, no, if it's on your website, regardless if it's dynamically generated or not, you own it. You're accountable for it. So, yeah, AI governance is also needed. Since then, Air Canada definitely revamped their AI governance and data governance program as well.
I
So,
guess they
yeah,
didn't put it.
purpose, data, and oversight.
Did
Sorry?
they not put the disclaimer there, like New York City did, saying
No,
it's we're not
no, no,
responsible for the chats?
not at that time. No, no,
Not
they
at
were
that
still
time.
early in the game. Yeah, yeah.
Ah, wow.
But
Wow,
yeah,
that's
to
interesting
to
story.
To wrap it up, the purpose, data, and oversight. I think if you miss any of those, the
Well,
technology doesn't quite matter. If even if you have like the best model out there, um, you you'll fail.
yeah. That's a great examples too. And I'm gonna look into this New York City. I'm gonna log in after the call and see like, do they still have that disclaimer there? Which I think they need. Oh, I was talking
Yeah,
to my
yeah,
friend attorney. He said they call it hallucination, right? When the AI hallucinates and creates cases like for law, even for
yes,
attorneys, which not even existing, but just to support whatever
yeah,
claim there is.
yes,
Uh, we all know that most decisions or big decisions are being done by CEOs of the companies, big companies,
hmm
small companies. What would be, in your opinion, uh, one or two things that every CEO should understand about data?
I I think maybe the answer is embarrassingly simple, and maybe that's why it gets missed. But I think they need to really understand that data is an asset. Full stop. And I'm saying this, and it might sound straightforward and obvious, but I feel that even if they know it, they're not really treating it as an asset. You
Mm.
know, let me put it this way: like if you run a bakery, you don't let anybody kind of put in their hands into the flour and like start making that bread or what have you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You'd also insist like on a consistent recipe every time. You'd have somebody checking on that bread before it goes, out to be sold. Nobody really thinks that's like, oh, that's doing too much. No, that's like when you run a bakery, you need to take care of all these stuff. You need to take care of the ingredients, the process, the quality, everything, right? So the data really deserves the exact same discipline, if you will. Who's allowed to use it? How consistently is it being defined? Somebody that's checking if it's good or not before it goes into another process, into another system, before it gets decisions being made on it. So most companies or most bakeries they do this with their products, with their ingredients, but so many of them they don't do it for their data. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Wow.
There's this again, I don't want to put them in a bad spotlight because they're very well known, but there's this major tech company that they built an AI hiring tool. And they had this great idea, and they said, you know what, we do a lot of hiring in the tech space. Why don't we simplify the process for us instead of us spending so many, like hundreds of hours in the hiring process, reviewing resumes and interviewing and everything? We could maybe let AI help us with part of it, right?
Mm.
And they thought we could because we're smart, we're great at building these types of models. And
Yeah.
not only that, but we have 10 years worth of resumes. That's a lot of like unstructured and structured, semi-structured data that could go feed this model. So for sure, we're gonna find out what a good candidate looks like. And the model did learn, by the way, just not what they wanted. What was happening is traditionally for these programming tech roles, you would have a lot of male candidates. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just how the world was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the model, what it learned from getting all this data was that, well, a good candidate means that you have to be a man. So because of that, it started to really downplay and downgrade anyone that it looked like he might not be a man, either by
Wow.
by name or maybe it was like an all women's college that they graduated from, or they saw different keywords in the resumes like women's chess club captain and things like that. So yeah, they had a massive data set, but they didn't really have that quality control on that asset. So nobody really checked whether the pattern kind of baked into the data was one that actually wanted the AI to learn from. So they did find out after a few months, and they've had to scrape the tool overall. So
Oh, I love this. I love these examples because it's easy to relate to say like even if the company has millions and millions of dollars, but if it's not done properly and the outcome, like exactly where every conference I go to, somebody always says garbage in, garbage out. You have to make sure that the data is like
yeah,
correct, and that's a very I never heard of this. example. It's very interesting.
Yeah,
Very-
this one maybe happened a decade ago or so, but
Wow.
like they were definitely ahead of their time, but they are a big known company too.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall, that's kind of my message to CEOs. You know, nobody skips the quality control of flour, let's say. So you shouldn't skip it on data either.
For sure, for sure. So as we know, AI is getting smarter every day. Hopefully, less mistake is those chatbots, and eventually we're not even gonna need those disclaimers. Say, hey, trust but verify. Instead of using just artificial intelligence, use actual intelligence also, right, to
Yeah.
verify stuff. Uh, what skills do you think that the younger professionals or people in college or right out of college should try to develop, try to learn in today's world? Because
Yeah.
I will definitely
Uh,
show this advice, whatever advice you give, I believe it's going to be correct because I have two kids out of college. So I will show them this advice.
well, okay, that's a lot of pressure, Steve, on me now. Um, but I think you touched on it already, and that's critical thinking. So I think that yes, we need to learn to use the tools. They're probably not going anywhere. So that's important. Kind of like back in the day, we learned how to use Google and Google stuff, and
Hmm.
right now it's like second nature to us. In the same way, we need to start using these AI tools, and there's so many, right? We kind of when we think about AI, we just think of like ChatGPT and Claude and Copilot and things like that, but there are just so many others that we would use depending on the topic and the subject. So
Hmm.
yes, learn to use the tool, but also that critical thinking to never stop questioning whatever the tool is handing to you. I think that's very important because AI is generating answers quickly, and it's giving us stuff, but it doesn't really tell us whether that answer is actually true, if you will.
Hmm.
So we need to always, I think, be questioning and take our critical thinking to the next level and make sure we we're just skeptical maybe to start, or that's how I treat things in general
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
You know, this does remind me to another story that you've mentioned with the lawyers and all this hallucination, right?
Hmm.
And there's so many stories out there with lawyers using ChatGPT in its early days on helping them prepare for legal briefs.
Yeah.
And there's this one famous case, and I think it was the state of New York as well, when this guy just trusted ChatGPT to kind of find supporting case laws for his argument.
Hmm.
And the problem was that, of course, the AI, at least at the time, it kind of just invented six cases out of thin air, just completely
Exactly.
fabricated fake quotes, fake citations, and he didn't check all of that. He just submitted them to federal court without checking. And I think at the time the judge called it unprecedented, and the lawyer was sanctioned, and you know the reputation and the firm that he was working for kind of took a hit.
Wow, he should have
Yeah.
put disclaimer there. All these stories coming from our city, from New York. That's the cases. Wow. So critical
Yeah,
thinking is number one skill to develop for the
I
young
think so. Yeah,
professionals.
and yeah, and question things. You know, I think every single time, where did this actually come from?
Hmm.
How can I verify it? Yeah, and it's funny because AI oftentimes is giving us this very confident sounding answers, and that doesn't mean that they're correct.
But
So yeah.
still, in this case, like sometimes, like go play outside, for example, right? That sentence for us growing up in the 80s, right? For
Hmm.
example, meaning go play outside. We played, Musketeers or Cops
Yeah.
and Robbers, whatever the game we used to be, we'll play outside. Now you tell the younger kids go play outside, they go literally be on the phone outside, thinking they're
Mm,
playing outside. So when we say use critical thinking, are they gonna use verify whatever the ChatGPT says? I was like, okay, let me go ask Claude what the ChatGPT is correct. Still verifying with another AI. Like that's
yeah,
that's kind of silly. Like it's also not easy for the new generation
that's true.
to use the critical. So critical thinking for them, right? Do we use another chat, another bot, whatever, another platform, or do we use Google now because it's supposedly more accurate? Hopefully, I don't know. So.
I think there's still the type of lessons that maybe we used to learn in the 80s at school and things like that. There, some of them are still relevant. I'm not saying that we need to be stuck in how we learn things, but
Hmm.
they're just some, basic maths so like the sciences and the arts together and history and everything else. I think it's still important for us to get our own knowledge and then based on that really understand when somebody else is giving us that information, how can we question, how can we verify things? Can we, how can we check by either asking other people or like going
Yeah,
on Google or maybe typing that question in different GPTs several times and see if there's all consistent. And if
consistent.
it is very consistent, is that like, oh, are they being trained on the same source? Or is it that because it is trained on the truth? Yeah,
Yeah, the
it is a hard one.
hallucination. Hallucination I experienced myself. Just the other day, I was looking because my sister Kate, she went to Davos this year, and I was like, I want to go to Davos. And I was
Hmm.
asking ChatGPT, like, what do I do to get to Davos? And he's like, oh, maybe use a company, maybe this. He's like, don't worry, you have 18 months to think about it. And it was June. And I was like, wait, Davos is in January. That's 7 months. And I was like, Chat, are you sure it's 18 months? Because we're in June in 2026. And he's like,
Hmm.
oh, yeah, you are completely right. You still have 7 months to go. So that was an obvious hallucination case in this case. Like I didn't need
There,
much actual intelligence to verify that.
yeah.
That's,
There's this guy that does these reels on like Instagram, TikTok, and he films himself talking to AI,
mm,
usually like ChatGPT or something of the sort. And there's this one video that went viral. He was talking to ChatGPT and he was asking it, "Hey, I have a car and I need to replace its winter tires with the summer tires, but the garage is close by, walking distance, 10 minutes walking distance. Should I drive there or should I walk to the garage?" And GPT was like, "Yeah, you should walk. It's good for your health. It's a nice stroll. It looks like it's nice outside." And the guy's like, "Okay, yeah, I'll do that. But what about the tires? Like, shouldn't I drive my car there because I need to change the tires for the car? That's why I'm going to the garage." So GPT was like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you should. Yeah, maybe leave the walk to another day. You should drive the car if that's what you're going for." So yes, sometimes it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to kind of realize the stuff that it's telling you it's maybe
exactly.
incorrect. Yeah,
But it is polite. It always says you're right.
it's polite.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah,
let's the one interesting scenario to give hypothetical, right? Imagine you hand the keys to a company and they want to invest $100 million into AI,
yeah, yeah.
right? And what would the first thing that you would do as a person responsible for implementing proper AI before you spend a single dollar? What would be the first thing?
Yeah. Maybe I would give $1 million to Lights on Data, and I'm kidding. Um,
That's a good
I'm
one.
kidding. No, but I touched on this before. I think I would first, before spending any dollars on AI, I'd spend at least a day on understanding the purpose.
Hmm.
I have this so like 6-step roadmap that I'm sometimes teaching when it comes to AI governance. And step one is the purpose and the boundaries. So defining the actual problem, and then making sure that it also aligns with your mission, and then decide up front if AI really belongs in there. Because sometimes, Steve, oftentimes there's so many improvements that you can make. It's just like a process automation problem. You don't need to put AI in there.
Yeah.
You don't need to overcomplicate things, right? But yeah, just make sure that you're defining the problem. By the way, step two is your data foundation. So make sure that it's governed, make sure that it's AI ready. Then step three is like the AI governance and the oversight, so the policies, accountability, the monitoring it, maybe the plan to retire it. Step four is the people. So to make sure that you're investing in your AI literacy, being transparent about maybe how roles will change and what that means. Five is the ethics of it all. So making sure that there's fairness and your company's values are actually embedded. And step six is that adaptation.
Hmm.
And the adaptation, I mean, not the adaptation that AI has on the entire workforce and your processes, but um, the adaptation of the AI itself, because that doesn't stand still. So you need to monitor, you need to gather feedback, and you need to adjust it constantly. So, but yeah, the first move is to maybe just get the entire leadership in a room and force that one question. What problem are we trying to solve, and do we need AI to solve it? And then
Yeah.
figure out whether AI should be again used at all. Maybe in sensitive, high stake decisions, maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would definitely go into like high value, low risk use cases. Those are the best ones to go to. So we build confidence in
Yeah.
that AI before we go anywhere near the riskier bets, if you will.
Yeah, great points. Great points. So, in case if somebody wants to, and I'm sure people would want to learn more about you, about your company, about what you do, about where to attend your future courses, which congrats, you say you got LinkedIn courses coming up. I'm sure you
Yay!
have other courses and you're teaching people, and it's very, very good information. I love the examples you give. I like the cases. I don't know. I don't love it. It's all from New York, all the bad cases, but it's okay. We'll take it. It is what it is. Where would people learn more about you? Where would they go?
Please see lightsondata.com and also check me out on LinkedIn. Get in touch with me, George Firican. I'm one of the two. I am the younger one. And feel free to follow me, get in touch with me there. And I probably post every single day something that I try to make it educational for everybody. And the Lights on Data YouTube channel as well.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. George, I really appreciate you joining the show, sharing all this information. This is very, very educational for me, and I'm sure it's going to be educational for everybody who would watch this. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Steve.
the
It's been a
time.
pleasure.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Bye, everyone.